My name is Kendall Moyo. I grew up in Bloemfontein, Free State. I came here in Joburg in 2016 to my father's place. My dad's name is Matthew Moyo. He is a security guard. He wanted us to come stay with him. In 2017, I used to walk from Fleurhof to Midlands when I go to school. Every time I walk to school, I can see the building being built, and then I asked my friends about it, and then they told me that I think a private school is being built, which is Future Nations schools. I was surprised, I was shocked to see a private school in this area.
The South African education sector is in dire need of private sector investment. Besides the fact that the government unfortunately does not have the means to cater to the increasing demand around education infrastructure, the quality of education is also a grave concern. There have been numerous stats released indicating that in terms of mathematics and literacy, South Africa has been rated one of the poorest performing countries in the world.
I always believed that corporates exist not just to generate profits, but they exist also to make a difference in the lives of communities or society in which they operate. And fast forward, I started Future Nations Schools when I was supposed to retire from corporate life. The whole idea of Future Nations Schools was a recognition that our education system, even from the best schools, we're not really preparing our young people for a world which is changing because of technology. And I wanted to create a laboratory in Future Nations Schools where we could demonstrate project-based learning, which is a learner-centered approach to learning and teaching, where the role of teachers is to impart not just knowledge, but also competencies and skills that young people need to live their life fully. The initial years were difficult because schools are highly capital intensive. It costs somewhere between 70 to 100 million rand to start a campus. It was important to find partners that could back us, not only in terms of financial aid or support, but also in terms of just running the school as a business.
At Old Mutual Alternative Investments, we invest in unlisted assets locally as well as throughout Africa. Our capabilities include private equity, international private equity, hybrid equity, infrastructure, as well as impact investing. Personally, I work in the impact investing side of the business, focused specifically on heading up the education funds. Across both funds, we have 47 schools and roughly 24,000 learners. Our schools have proudly exceeded and outperformed the national average pass rates for the matric exams as well as the bachelor pass rates since inception. In 2017, Sizwe approached the fund for funding to complete as well as expand his Future Nations school in Fleurhof. This was a great opportunity for the fund, just knowing Sizwe's passion for education and his vision of using education to transform society. The fund actually, through its investment, increased the school size by more than 400 learners.
When I first walked in the school, I was like, it was beautiful. I was excited about this opportunity. I was very happy and my dad was also happy. For me to go to Midlands, there was a lot of students in one class. We will be 45, 40 in one class. We can't hear clearly sometimes, and we have to share a desk, and it's two of us. In Future Nations schools, the matrics of last year, we were 32. We were divided into two groups. In each class, we were 17, 16, which was much better because I could concentrate much better and I could hear when someone is talking or when Say is talking. That's something I appreciate.
Our schools are operating independent of government funding, but our schools are priced at a level that is appropriate for the community that it's catering to. This type of investment not only has the ability to create a positive impact in the lives of the learners who attend the schools, but also we focus on creating sustainable businesses where we ensure permanent job creation as well as the upliftment of the communities in which our schools are operating.
We meet on a regular basis with Old Mutual executives where we talk about how our business is going, and they're able to bring a lot of insights and advice, obviously given the experience that they have as professionals. So it goes beyond just financial support and financial aid, but it also extends quite significantly into how schools operate.
The graduation ceremony was nice and it was great. I was happy and excited because Yeah, finally I made it. On my mother's side, on my mother's family, I'm the first one to actually finish matric. For me, maths is just, numbers are just in my blood. So my plans for the future, my passion, like what I really want to do is to become an actuarial scientist.
Our goal is really to produce young people that go on to become leaders, entrepreneurs, academics in the country, as well as highly qualified professionals. Because it is, after all, about young people. It is about how we create hope in our country.
Old Mutual Private Equity is one of the largest and most established private equity managers in South Africa and in Africa. We've been investing other people's money for 20 odd years. We've deployed in the order of 10 billion over that time period. I think the power of the private equity model lies in the active ownership. We talk to our management teams and our fellow shareholders every week. And it really is about getting up every day and driving value in the portfolio and making the businesses that we own more valuable. It's long-term value focused. A nice illustration of how partnerships actually work in private equity is footgear.
Back then, shoes were not as they are now on display in bulk. There was one shoe on show and people couldn't help themselves. You had to have someone to help you. So that was kind of the gap that we identified, to bring the shoes out and let customers help themselves and get the feeling of volume. So the first footgear store opened in 2001 in Access Park.
My name is Ashton Lawrence, born and bred in Cape Town at the end of, call it 2010/2011. So I was retrenched. Those were very challenging times. So I was actually living in a Wendy house. We had 2 kids and we had 1 room and everything was like a mess all the time. I started in footgear at Access Park the year 2012. I never had a matric. Footgear didn't turn me away. They had a look at my CV and they were willing to offer me a salesman's job. And I took it with both hands, I grabbed it.
You can also grab 2 Viva Italian inspired pairs and pay only 700. That's off the runways of Milan. We made the plan, customers. It's hot fashion admired by Kim Kardashian.
From 2001 to 2009, we were a 4-store business for all intents and purposes, and then we had a strategy session with the 4 then owners, and we decided to go on an expansion run. 2018, we went up to 63 stores. What was happening simultaneously was the opportunity to acquire Edgar's Active. I remember quite clearly getting an email out the blue from Chumani Kula at Old Mutual wanting to have a cup of coffee. And you know, from the first meeting with Chumani till we consummated the relationship 3 years later, he would just constantly stay in touch. And I think through that process, we clearly established that they were by far the partners of choice for us. So we had 63 stores when we did the deal. We then acquired the Edgar's Active stores. We managed to acquire 110 of those stores. There were about 750 people that came across with that transaction that otherwise would have been unemployed and retrenched. The end of financial year 2023, the result is that the business will be around 250 stores with probably about 1,200 permanent employees. The rule of thumb is for every person employed, there's 5 people that rely on that individual. So I think it has a big impact on a lot of people's lives, and hopefully it's a good impact, positive. Working with Old Mutual Private Equity, obviously it's a financial investment, but it's much more than that. In 2020, the COVID phenomenon certainly tested our business on lots of levels. When you come out of lockdown from doing 0 sales, are we going to go back to 100? Are we going to do 50% of sales? How do we engage with staff? COVID protocols. The Old Mutual partnership played a huge role in us getting through that process. We just viewed them as a colleague to give a call and brainstorm. Felt like they were on the front line with us at any given time. There was no them or us.
Today, I manage 13 stores from Vredenburg all the way to Mitchell's Plain. You know, I'm responsible for about 60 people. So I take it upon my own shoulders, you know. They're not that broad, but I take it upon my shoulders to make sure I do my job the best I can so that we can open stores and employ more people. The better we do, the more successful we are, the better it is for our country.
It's actually about growing the business, and in growing the business, we grow a lot of jobs. It also gives us, together with our entrepreneurs, a lot of meaning. Impact in the community, bursaries, academies, the many things that we support. For us, it's just part of stewardship.
Due to Foodcare, I will basically be getting a accredited certificate equivalent to a matric certificate, the NQ4. 5 months ago, I moved into my own place just down the road, and that for me has been the best thing. The wife was just so happy. When she heard I could make it possible for us to move, she was over the moon. So I'm so happy for that. It can bring tears to your eyes sometimes, you know. Thank you, Foodcare.